Today we're discussing the Aladdin lamp. I don't know how many are familiar with Aladdin, but it really is the #1 lamp out here. There's no lamp that even comes close to an Aladdin. Imagine a lamp that has 50 watts of power, equivalent to a 50-watt light bulb, but uses no electricity, very, very quiet, and gives out 10,000 BTUs of heat, equivalent to about 10 regular oil lamps. Just an incredible lamp. Uses a huge burner. Excuse me as I reach over and get one here. This is the burner, and this is what you see on each one of these is the burner. Now this is what holds the wick. Notice that round wick, very round wick. Here, let me get one over here. The round wick is what the Aladdin uses. See, that's an Aladdin wick right there. Not the little thing like usually you burn these and they don't give a lot of light. This thing gives as much light as a 50-watt light bulb. And they still make them. You can get an authorized dealer right on the web anywhere, and you can buy these. You can actually get them on eBay and things, but I really recommend that you find authorized distributors. Let's back them up as much as we can because they're still making these, and we need to really do our part to make sure they stay in business by keeping their business going. And I just love it when I see people buying new, and that new one is just incredible from that company. I'm going to buy new one myself. New one myself. It's called Max Brite 500, and they are absolutely incredible. Let me get into it here if I can. The Max Brite is incredible. It does things that it's brighter, and it's just overall just a redesigned burner. But these all have numbers on them. I want to start out with the 3. This is the 6, excuse me. This is the number 6. This was built around 1914 to 1917, and if you look closely on the wick raiser knob, excuse me, let me get that off of there while we're here. There we go. Take that off. See how easy these are to use. If you look closely, the wick raiser knob, you can see in 1914, 1915 right on there. And this is notched, means it was insulated. You see the little notches on there? That means it's insulated. And the number 6, that's the little burner up there. Not really called a burner, that's a flame spreader. Little flame spreader, as you can see there, and that spreads the flame out. Goes right in the center of the wick, as you can see the wicks right there. Love the number 6. Easy, convenient, just like all of them. I like the nickel or the brass over glass. Can't break it, especially if you're prepping or having these for light, an alternative source of light when the power goes out. I recommend the metal because if you drop them, things like that, you're not going to break them and cause a mess or where's the fire. They're just a lot safer, in my opinion, than any other type. So I do recommend the nickel or the brass. Like this one here, brass and nickel. Okay, now the number 6 is really amazing product, just totally amazing. I wanted to show you the Max Brite too. This is the new one you can get from dealers right now. It's just an incredible new called Model 500 kerosene mantle lamp burner. And I truly recommend, if you can afford one, to get it new. Of course, you can buy them used on eBay and a lot of different places. Etsy, many different places has this unit. And they're so easy to use. Like I could just light this wick. There's the wick riser. I light the wick. I turn it down to the blue. I put this on. Okay. There are a few things you want to know about these. Look how easy that is to go on there. I wanted to show you the chimney before I move on. You see the, I don't know if you can see the engraving up there, but chimneys are absolutely beautiful. A good Aladdin chimney. Very strong. I don't seem to have any problem with breakage too much on the ones made by Aladdin. So I really do appreciate that Aladdin logo on there, because so many of the others seem to break so easily. So that is the 6. I wanted to read to you a little about the 6. The Aladdin Model 6 may well be the most famous model ever made. In 1915, the Aladdin Model 6 lamp won a gold medal and a blue ribbon at the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco, California. Okay, and that's when they start adding this date on here, the 1915 to 16 date. So, yeah, look how good a shape it is in for that age. That is over 100 years old and still doing quite wonderful. And then we have the number 11. Okay, you see the font, which is the middle part down here. The font, basically still round, the same, but subtle differences in the burner and things like that. And again, you just pull off this. Okay, this is the gallery down here, which holds the chimney. You just pull it off. Okay, now then you just pull up your wick. Just come straight up. I got this one down pretty low. I have to crank it up quite a bit. But this one will be ready to go, and we can light it. And once you light your chimney, the round wick, you just put this right back on and put the shade back on and get a blue light. And once you got your blue light, you're ready to go. Okay, so that is the 11. Here's everybody's favorite lamp. I call this the Depression lamp. It was built from about the number 12 was from 1928 to 1935. And here you can look, it don't have the date on it, but you can see on the wick riser knob, you can see the number 12. Every Aladdin is marked what year on that wick riser knob. Okay, now then the great thing about the 6, the 11, and this 12 is that they draw their air from the bottom. They have a tube and draw their air. This is incredible because they don't use a lot of oil. It is just tremendous what little bit they use. And when you use oil, I recommend you use Aladdin's. You can get this for like Lehman's. I don't know if you're familiar with Lehman's over in Ohio, Lehmans. They're authorized dealers for Aladdin. And if you ever get there, you'll want, if you do any kind of prepping or preparedness for outages, you'll want to go there. Seems like acres of things from stoves to everything you would want to prep with. But the Aladdin oil lamp, this is really good, and it's not that expensive. And if you do it right, you can get free shipping on it, so that makes it wonderful. I wanted to read about the lamp. This was written about over 100 years ago, but it says a new lamp burns 94% air, beats electric or gas. A new oil lamp that gives an amazing, brilliant, soft white light, even better than gas or electricity, has been tested by the U.S. government and 35 leading universities and found to be superior to 10 ordinary oil lamps. It burns without odor, smoke, or noise. No pumping up. It's simple, clean, and safe. Burns 94% air and 6% common kerosene. The inventor V.S. Johnson, 609 West Lake Street, Michigan, Illinois, is offering to send a lamp on 10 days free trial, or even to give one free to the first user in each locality who will help him introduce it. Write him today for full particulars. Also ask him to explain how you can get the agency. Without experience or money, make $250 to $500 per month. That was over 100 years ago. Imagine making $250 to $500 a month 100 years ago. That would have been a lot of money. But of course, Aladdin was not cheap in those days. You could buy an ordinary oil lamp for $1. These were $4 and I think 95 cents. Don't quote me on that, but $4 and something. And that was quite a bit more expensive than going out and buying a $1 oil lamp. But it did so much. 50 watts of light, 10,000 BTUs of heat, and so easy to use. Burns 5% oil, 6% oil, and 94% air. That's the air. And that's why 12s are so popular yet today. And that's not quite 100 years old, but it's approaching that. And notice the rim up here and then how differently the 12 is made. And they just did a complete revamp from bottom to top on the 12 and made a superior lamp that is just incredible and out of this world. One other thing, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but these lamps burn so completely. They burn hot. 12,000 BTUs coming out of that chimney. And that's why you want to be careful what you put them under, because you don't want them on something that could ignite. That's a lot of heat, but it can not only warm your space, but give you plenty of light. Regular lamp, you're not going to be able to read on. It's just basically to get you from one place to another. With these, you can read. It's 50 watts of power, so it's amazing what you get out. If you're prepping or getting ready for if you're wanting to do the prepping, I don't want to get into any of the COVID or anything like that on this, but if you're prepping, getting ready for things and any power outages and things like that you want to prepare for, then you will want one of these lamps. You see, in Texas, they had a big problem. A lot of people have spent $14,000, anywhere between $12,000 and $16,000, have these big power generators that they had ready, and they run on natural gas. And when your electricity went out, they kicked right on in. But in Texas, that didn't happen for some people because they had no gas, they had no electricity. It all had froze up. So if they would have had a lamp like this, it could have saved the day. There might even been enough heat generated to keep the water heater, which they kept up, most of them kept up in the attic in Texas because of the heat value they would get in the summer. They would keep them up there, and this heat would have went up there and more than likely maybe have saved it, saved the day for them. But that's why it's so important to have one. This is your third option for lighting, because batteries can go out. You can run out of batteries, you can run out of things, but when you have an oil lamp like this, you have something that you can depend on for good light, and you can do it year after year. Another thing about this oil, it lasts 10 years. It doesn't go bad. You can store this for 10 years, and that is incredible, the fluid you need. Now, Aladdin don't use the paraffin oil that you get in the like Walmart or any of those stores. They use it's got to be K1 Kerosene if you get it in the store, because paraffin they will actually clog the little holes. So you definitely want to use that type. Of course, there's another brand. It's called Clean Strip. That's good kerosene, and this is a kerosene additive. If you have to use a kerosene from, like if you're using kerosene from the pumps out in the service stations, like we got a BP that I just got 5 gallons, filled my blue container. You can get these big blue containers, and I filled it up with kerosene, so I got 5 gallons, and that's what I will use because it's not as good as the Aladdin, which definitely doesn't give you the odor and things like that. But if you have this, you can keep the odor down. Now, when you have an Aladdin lamp, you do not leave the room and not turn it off. If you got cats, if you got dogs, if you got kids, anything can knock them over. And you don't want to knock these over, okay, because the fluid, they could ignite. Now, of course, the metal, it won't break, so you won't have, but you just turn it out when you leave the room. What you do use is one of these. It's got a 1/8 inch wick, okay, or anything close to it. 1/8 inch wick is what you want, because you can burn that all night and not give off fumes, and it's just a light, and it's much safer, 10 times safer than a candle. It's all enclosed, so you're not having an open candle in your house. So that's what you use. You carry that around when you go into the bathroom, things like that. You use a mobile, what I call a mobile unit, but you take that with you and bring it with you. You leave that on, because when you come back in a room, if everything is dark and your power is out, you want to have light, and that would be your light to light the big lights when you want to read. You want light in your house, okay? So that's a very, very important. I just feel that if people in Texas would have had these, a lot of their homes may have been saved, and not only that, they could have had some heat in the house. Imagine having 4 of these burning and 12,000 BTUs coming out of each one. That's 12 times 4 is 48,000 BTUs of heat coming in your house from 4 of these. But it is just incredible the kind of heat and the kind of light you get from them. So this is one of my favorites. This is the 23. Again, a much updated burner, and that's important. And you can see the little Aladdin. You see the on the you can see that on the Wick riser knob. You can see it's a 23. It's got the little Aladdin on it. There's 23s without that little Aladdin lamp engraved on there, and some with. This is the later model. Now these were more in the 60s. I think back in about 1969, or excuse me, 63 to 69, and that's when this one came out. So that is a spectacular lamp. I just love this lamp. It's so easy to light, so easy to use. Matter of fact, by pulling this off, okay, now this one we have the mantle. That's the mantle. Now, when I get my mantle installed, now we've used this already. That mantle's already been lit because they're normally blue before. But what I did before I lit it, I take a match and light it, and it goes whoom, and that gets it ready to use. You want to get it ready, prep it by just taking a match and let it go, it'll burn right up to it. Okay, and that's what I did. Now, when you have your burner, you put your oil, of course, inside into the tank, into the font. That's known as the font down below. You put your oil in, make sure you have enough, because this has to set, and you do not light it for 15 minutes. You let the wick soak down inside the fount for 15 minutes before you light it to make sure that you have plenty of oil in your lamp up inside to light. Then you just take a match and you burn both sides. You burn the left side, the right side, and you turn. Then you put your gallery. This is the gallery. Of course, this is the chimney. This is your mantle. Okay. This is a flame spreader on top here. As I showed before, those flame spreaders are very important because they keep your flame uniform. And the burner actually comes apart, and you can see the wick in there, and it's got an internal portion too that's very interesting on this 23. Notice how I just take this gallery, and I just, after I would have it lit, I would just take the gallery and put it down, lock it. That's it. And then I put this on. Now I have a 50-watt light that takes no electricity. That gives me also gives me heat. So in the summertime, of course, you would have heat, so you're not going to burn them as long in the summertime. But I tell you what, they're great to have if you've got a power outage. Then you have sure light. You have something you can count on. No batteries that go dead. You have something that just works for you. So I would have solar light. I would have battery lights, and I would have at least one of these, preferably 2, 3, or 4, but at least one of these in your home. It's going to be one of the most important purchases, I think, that anyone can ever make. And of course, Aladdin will always beat them all. You're never going to find a better lamp, and it's been documented over and over that this is obviously the best lamp ever made. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll let you know more about the Aladdins as they come up. But I also want to tell you that there's so many authorized dealerships, and the company itself is still making the great big one, the big 500. It's called the Max, and it's just an incredible burner. You can actually screw that Max on a lot of these others, not the 6, of course, but you can put it on the 12. It'll fit on this 23 and several others, so you can actually use that new one. And I do recommend that if you can afford it, to go to these authorized dealers, go to the company that builds them. You can find that on the web, and really support this company because it is so wonderful. We want to make sure this company is still going 100 years from now. So thank you for watching, and if you get a chance, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. And for anybody who hits the bell, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.